Good Friday morning, and thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis.
We are doing everything we can to find you. And when we do, we will prosecute you.
A pointed message there from the Justice Department. Federal officials announced charges against 15 people in Minnesota accused of stealing from state programs. One of which trying to run away from authorities. Our Audrey Russo has the video.
Yeah, right as these new charges were announced, the feds found themselves chasing after one of the 15 suspects. Muhammad Omar was caught here on camera, jumping from a fourth-floor balcony to evade federal agents. He's accused of stealing millions of dollars from Minnesota's housing stabilization program. Now, Omar was arrested yesterday afternoon at a co-conspirator's house in Blaine. In all, the feds say the 15 people charged attempted to defraud 7 different programs to the tune of $90 million. At this press conference yesterday, officials said these charges include the largest autism fraud bust in American history. Now, 2 of the new charges also represent federal investigators' focus on daycare fraud, something that used to be primarily handled by state investigators.
Stopping fraud is how we save these programs. And no matter what your party identity is, that has to be one of our goals.
Now, none of the new charges appear to stem from the raids on multiple autism and daycare centers last month. Going forward, the Department of Justice will expand its healthcare fraud strike unit to include Minnesota. It already exists in Chicago and Detroit. The agency is also hiring 15 extra prosecutors to combat fraud nationwide. Back to you.
Audrey, thank you. And Amy Bach, the convicted mastermind behind the massive Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, is starting her 41-year sentence this morning. That's short of the 50 years prosecutors asked for, but well over the 3 years her defense attorneys wanted. Bach was convicted of leading the scheme that took money meant to feed children during the pandemic and used that money to buy things like cars and real estate. Before being sentenced, Bach apologized, saying, quote, "I never intended for things to go the way they did." Well, very soon, Minnesota will have a new law that requires anyone convicted of fraud to pay all of the stolen money back in the form of a tax. The bipartisan Take It Back Act passed last week as part of a larger tax bill currently awaiting the governor's signature. So here's how it all works. Anyone convicted of defrauding public programs will be required in Minnesota to pay 100% of the money stolen back as part of a tax that will be deposited into a state account. The Department of Revenue will then use the money toward income tax relief for Minnesotans. And Kare 11's been exposing fraud for years. You can read our latest report and get a comprehensive look at all of our coverage right now on kare11.com/fraud. Republican revolts. Senate leaders canceled a planned funding vote yesterday after several lawmakers voiced concerns over the president's nearly $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. Despite acting Attorney General Todd Blanche working to calm nerves there. And it's not the only issues where some Republicans are pushing back. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest.
Hi there. President Trump is coming off a clean sweep of candidates he endorsed in Republican primaries, and there's no question he has broad GOP support in Congress. But the strength of the opposition to a couple key issues is raising questions about Republican fault lines. Fresh off primary victories for Trump-backed candidates, the president is hitting headwinds in Congress, with some Republicans balking at a pair of priorities. First up, a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund.
This is just stupid on stilts.
The plan to use taxpayer money to pay back people who claim they were unfairly prosecuted under the Biden administration. That could include convicted January 6 rioters the president pardoned.
These people don't deserve restitution. Many of them deserve to be in prison.
The Senate scrapped a Thursday vote on a Republican package to fund ICE and Border Patrol after a closed-door briefing with top Justice Department officials on the anti-weaponization fund left GOP senators with serious questions.
The kind of gut reaction is, that's not right. And if it's not right, we shouldn't be doing it.
Cassidy is one of two sitting Republican senators President Trump opposed in the primaries. Now, with some GOP members of both the Senate and House also objecting to $1 billion in funding for White House ballroom security.
What I do not support is one single dime of taxpayer money going to a ballroom.
NBC News pressed the president on the new fractures.
Are you losing control of the Senate Republican?
I don't know. I really don't know.
The president still has broad GOP support in Congress and has sharply defended his proposals, long railing against Biden-era prosecutions and arguing the White House
It won't be a very secure place.
without the ballroom funding. Police officers who defended the Capitol on January 6 have already sued to block the anti-weaponization fund. The acting attorney general said an applicant's record of violent behavior would be taken into consideration, with 5 commissioners set to be chosen in the coming weeks to decide who gets paid. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Right now, police are looking for a suspect in a deadly shooting in North Minneapolis. This happened near the intersection of 18th and Girard Avenues North last night. Police say they responded to the shooting at around 5:30 and found a 16-year-old boy shot. He died at the scene. Police say another man drove to a gas station after he was shot and was taken to a hospital. Police say they're trying to figure out what led up to the shooting and if the 2 victims are connected. Right now, Minneapolis police are looking for the suspect in a stabbing at the Fine Line. Take a look right here at this picture. They're looking for this man. They say is in his 20s, about 6 feet tall with a buzz cut and a light mustache. Police say the victim is still fighting for his life. They believe he was stabbed during a fight on Sunday night. Anyone with information is asked to call MPD. Today, an ICE agent accused of pointing a gun at people in a car during Operation Metro Surge will have his first court appearance. Gregory Morgan Jr. turned himself in yesterday. The criminal complaint says that Morgan was driving illegally on the shoulder of Highway 62, passing cars. 2 people in one car told police they're partially pulled in front of Morgan to, quote, cut him off, not knowing that he was with ICE. That's when they say Morgan pulled up next to their car and pointed a gun at them. Morgan's attorney says he was responding to a stressful situation he did not initiate.
Mr. Morgan did not know what that other driver and that other vehicle occupant's intention was when it swerved so aggressively at him, but it happened fast, it was alarming, and it was during an extraordinarily tense period in our Twin Cities metro area, both for citizens and law enforcement alike.
And Morgan is charged with assault. Memorial Day weekend is here, and this year a record 45 million people are expected to travel for the holiday. Nearly 40 million of them will hit the road despite the high gas prices. The national average right now sits at $4.55 a gallon, and here in Minnesota it's costing drivers $4.36 on average. It's even lower in Iowa, $4.24. But if you're going over to Scottyland, be prepared to pay for a little higher gas there. The state average this morning there is $4.43 a gallon. The best time to hit the road is before 11 o'clock today. And hey, this morning airports are also bracing for more travelers this weekend. At MSP, things are smooth sailing as we speak. So far, no major delays or cancellations. Right now, state troopers are reminding drivers, though, to make smart decisions. Memorial weekend through Labor Day weekend are the 100 deadliest days on the roads. And this time last year, Minnesota saw 111 deaths on our roads. That's actually down by more than 100 from 2024. But troopers say the number is still concerning. They say driving just 10 miles over the limits can raise the chances of a deadly crash.
Speed limits aren't suggestions, and physics don't negotiate. The faster a vehicle travels, the bigger the impact, and the deadlier the outcome.
State Patrol, along with 300 local law enforcement agencies, are planning to ramp up their enforcement over the summer. But hey, if you're going to be staying home this weekend, you can, of course, get a taste of the Minnesota State Fair. Kickoff to summer at the fair is here, featuring a lot of your favorites, but it's just a little scaled back. There's still, though, more than 40 vendors, many of which are new. Tickets are only $17, but they're limited, so you won't see nearly as many people as you normally do during the fair. And that's a huge plus for many who just want a more laid-back fair experience. We have more details and information on the hours over at kare11.com.
So it's a very different experience than the Minnesota State Fair, but with a lot of those touches of the fair that people know and love. So for people who maybe don't love the crowds of the Minnesota State Fair or just want to do the fair twice a year, it's a great event.
Yeah, run through the weekend, get that corn dog, and stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.